I had seen a tweet the other day that, I'm going to turn my phone on here, that Susan Rice was hired to join the board of directors of Netflix. And this comes after now Susan Rice was President Obama's national security advisor and was the ambassador to the United Nations under the Obama administration before she became national security advisor for President Obama. And my response to this was to tweet, Netflix, and you can follow my Twitter feed at Tom Fitton, and then with Judicial Watch's Twitter feed is at Judicial Watch. So I tweeted, Netflix doubles down in support of Obama corruption, compromised Susan Rice, who lied repeatedly on both Benghazi and the unmasking issue, joins its board of directors. Well, you know, that's, if you follow my Twitter feed, that's actually one of my softer tweets. I tend to be pretty direct. But the reaction was pretty strong, and a lot of people reacted by saying they're going to cancel their Netflix subscriptions. And the media picked up on it, Fox News picked up on it, one of the major news wires picked up on it, about the controversy of Susan Rice joining the board of directors. And as I said, or maybe I didn't say, Netflix is also working with Barack Obama on some TV shows or documentaries or something of that nature. And it's, I think, interesting that Netflix thinks it's okay to hire Susan Rice in light of the controversies. Just think if a conservative figure implicated in all the wrongdoing that Susan Rice was doing was hired to join a major corporation. And I want to go over what Susan Rice is implicated in doing. She went on national television immediately after the Benghazi attacks, or 2 or weeks after the Benghazi attacks, and lied repeatedly at the direction of the Obama White House. Judicial Watch proved that. She said that that Benghazi attack was the result of an internet video, a spontaneous protest, when in fact that she knew, and everyone in the Obama administration knew otherwise, that it was a terrorist attack directed at U.S. interests on the anniversary of 9/11. Killed our ambassador, 3 other innocents. So she lied repeatedly about this terrorism issue in order to make sure that Barack Obama was elected to the presidency, or re-elected to the presidency. Because remember, his campaign theme at the time was, one of his slogans, Osama bin Laden is dead and GM is alive. Well, that theme doesn't work that well if Al-Qaeda mounted a successful attack that killed a U.S. ambassador in the line of duty for the first time in 30 or 40 years. So they needed to cover it up, and Susan Rice was front and center. And rather than hold her accountable, Congress did nothing. And it wasn't until Judicial Watch exposed the White House involvement in these lies that they appointed a select committee to investigate Benghazi. And in the meantime, Obama shuffled her over to National Security Advisor, which leads to the other controversies, the unmaskings. She first said there were no unmaskings, and then she said there were. What are unmaskings? An American is picked up in foreign intelligence surveillance abroad. Typically, that American's name is made private unless there's need to know. And it looks like they had no need to know the names of Trump officials picked up in foreign surveillance abroad. But it looks like the Obama administration just unmasked their names anyway, because they recognized they could use the intelligence apparatus of the United States government, like a Google search, to figure out what the Trump team was up to in the run-up to the election. And then most recently, she's caught writing a CYA memo, I think even after, just as President Trump is inaugurated, takes the oath of office, describing a meeting 2 weeks earlier in which she and Obama and Joe Biden were there, I think James Comey too, talking about how to use the dossier. and how the Russian investigation is going to go. And she wrote, President Obama said it has to be done by the book. So obviously a fake memo designed to cover their derrieres. When it came out that the Obama White House, as I discussed earlier, was orchestrating this effort to get Trump through illicit spying and other dubious activities. And this person gets a board seat on the board of Netflix. The left likes to talk about corporate responsibility. Is this corporate responsibility? Is Susan Rice going to write CYA memos for her work on Netflix? Is that what we can expect from the board of Netflix now with Susan Rice on board? Well, this is why people reacted the way they did to my tweet, because they know all this. I'm happy to report it out to you, so in case you don't know it. But what I love about today's media culture, there's a lot not to love about it, is the liberal media can't keep this information away from you. And you often know as much as I do about the issues I just discussed. And you probably could have done the same thing I just did in terms of recounting all of the issues as it relates to Susan Rice. So I'm glad to see that people reacted strongly to this, because I haven't forgotten the Benghazi deaths. I mean, the lies about Benghazi is just, the subsequent lies are just one part of the scandal. The failure to go to the rescue of those men, putting them in harm's way, and then once the attack happened, not deploying assets. I don't care if it happened 50 years ago, I'm still going to be angry about it. And I'm not going to forget it, and we're going to keep on pushing for justice on it. So excuse me, Netflix, if I'm critical of you for bringing in someone who lied about a terrorist attack that killed 4 innocents, and then has been implicated in misusing the government to spy on Americans. Not the best choice for a corporation that seeks to get money from everybody to watch movies and TV and everything. So we'll see what happens with Netflix. You know, my guess is they'll ignore us, but there are a bunch of people who are not going to like Netflix now or ever as a result of what they did with Susan Rice. And I'm sure their Obama work is going to be interesting in that regard too. So Netflix is a company to watch in terms of this major corporation subsidizing, as I said, doubling down on Obama corruption.